Hampus Lindholm is now a Boston Bruin in one of the biggest trades leading up to the deadline so far. He also has signed an 8-year extension with the team, and we'll get into the details coming right up. Hey everybody, so this past weekend the Bruins made a massive trade with the Anaheim Ducks, acquiring defenseman Hampus Lindholm. I know this happened a couple days ago, but I was away this weekend, so I haven't been able to talk about it until now. But we're going to get into it today, take a look at the trade, and then also take a look at the big extension that Lindholm has signed with the Bruins as well, which is going to keep him in Boston and make this an even more intriguing deal for the Bruins. So let's get into it here. First, we're going to take a look at the trade itself. So if we look at the full trade between Anaheim and Boston here, the Bruins get defenseman Hampus Lindholm and defenseman Kodie Curran. Now, Curran is a career AHL guy. You're not going to see him in a Boston uniform. He's going to be down in Providence, so not a big deal there. This is Hampus Lindholm going to the Boston Bruins. In exchange to Anaheim for defenseman John Moore, defenseman Urho Vaakanainen, a 2022 first-round pick, a 2023 second-round pick, and a 2024 second-round pick. Also of note, the Ducks retain 50% of Lindholm's contract for this year, which makes his cap hit just a little over $2.5 million and really helps the Bruins in a salary cap way with them retaining 50% of that salary. So let's talk about these pieces a little bit here. First off, I just want to say I love this deal for the Bruins. As a Bruins fan, I am very, very happy with this. This was the area that I think Boston needed the most, was the defense. They needed to add to the defense, and I really wanted them to get a top 4 guy. They went out and did it. They went out and they got a top 4 defenseman, a legitimate top 4 defenseman to add to this decor, and it really rounds out now McAvoy, Grzelcyk, Carlo, Lindholm as their top 4, and that's a pretty good decor. It's certainly a lot better than it was before this trade happened. So this is a big improvement to the back end, to the blue line for the Boston Bruins, and I'm very, very happy about it. What they gave up, was it a lot? Yeah, it was a pretty good amount, but that's what it takes to get a player in this day and age in the NHL like a Hampus Lindholm. I mean, top 4 defensemen don't come cheap. And, Anaheim was nice enough to take the John Moore contract, so thank you, Anaheim, for that. They give up a first-round pick, but again, 2022 first-round pick, that's going to be in the 20s. Boston's a playoff team this year. It's going to be a later first round pick. It's not a huge deal. Boston hasn't been all that great drafting anyway, so I'm not too worried about the picks necessarily. Couple of second round picks, one of those I guess was a thank you for them taking John Moore's contract off the books. So again, thank you, Anaheim, for that. And then Urho Vaakanainen is kind of an interesting piece. I am not really all that upset with the Bruins trading Vaakanainen. He never could consistently show that he was an NHL player. He also had a little bit of injury issues, especially, this year. He was actually playing the best hockey of his career this season, and then he got hurt in a game against Seattle, and we never saw him again. So he's kind of a guy that hasn't developed as quickly as the Bruins were hoping, hasn't really made a big impact at the NHL level. I would say he's kind of a tweener. He's right on that AHL, NHL line. He's still fairly young, so he's got some upside. And I do think he may become an NHL D-man, but I don't see him ever being more than maybe like a bottom pair guy. Offensively, he hasn't really put up points at the NHL level or at the AHL level. So he just never turned into what the Bruins thought he was going to. And I have no problem with them moving on from him. I think he's probably going to be a career depth defenseman. I don't think he's going to progress much beyond that. So all in all, the big pieces obviously for Anaheim here is they get a chance at Urho Vaakanainen maybe becoming more than what I see in him. But the real big pieces here are the draft picks. They get a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks in this deal for Anaheim. And again, when if you're the Ducks, you love that. That's a good, solid return here for the Anaheim Ducks to give up a player that was on an expiring contract that you weren't able to re-sign anyway, because that's the reason they traded him. Talks on a new extension broke down. So a player that was going to be gone at the end of the year for nothing, you end up getting a young defenseman who still possibly has some upside and a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks for him. That's a very solid deal for Anaheim. Again, for Boston, I love this. They get a top 4 D-man, an area that they really needed to improve, in my opinion, and this really solidifies the blue line here for the Bruins. And then they extend him as well, and we'll get into that now, because this isn't just a rental deal. Again, if Boston gave all this up just for a guy that was going to play a month of the regular season and then a playoff run where who knows how deep the Bruins go, if they gave all this up for a couple months of Hampus Lindholm, I probably wouldn't like the deal all that much, because that'd be a lot to give up for a guy just for a couple of months. But they sign him to an extension. 8 years, which is long. We'll say, that's a long extension, but Lindholm's still young. He's under 30, so it's not terrible. It's not like they gave a 30-year-old this. He's younger than that, so that I'm okay with. I really like the cap hit, though. $6.5 million is not a bad cap hit for a guy who's a very solidified and legitimate top 4 guy. There are much worse contracts. There are much worse AAVs for defensemen around the league. Like, the Tyler Myers contract, for example, him making $6 million, I'd much rather have Hampus Lindholm at 6.5. So, money-wise, I think this is a pretty solid deal. The 8 years is a long time, but Boston right now isn't thinking about 7-8 years down the line. Like, this is a deal that is supposed to help the Bruins win now, and I think absolutely helps the Bruins now and makes their defense better. Patrice Bergeron is, getting into his late 30s now. You do not have many shots left with Patrice Bergeron if you're the Bruins, and that's one of the biggest things about this deal that I really, like, is that the Bruins are kind of going for it. Because Boston doesn't have a lot of time left with Patrice Bergeron. He's getting up there in age, and his contract's up at the end of the year as well. We're not even 100% sure if he's going to be back. Now, I would like to think that Bergeron will sign a 2-year deal or something at the end of this year and come back to Boston, but there's no guarantee of that. Brad Marchand, another one of their absolute top players, probably their best offensive player, he is 33 now, so he's into his 30s now. Boston doesn't have this huge window left open where they, can keep coming back year after year after year. Now, they do have a good base of young players with David Pastrnak and Charlie McAvoy, Brandon Carlo, Jeremy Swayman in goal. Like, they have a good base of some younger guys still in their 20s who are really good players, but Bergeron and Marchand are such key pieces of this team that when they're gone, there's going to have to be some sort of a reset here with the Bruins. So if they're going to win again with Marchand and Bergeron at the helm, they have to do it very quickly. So they need to be worried about winning right now. And I think that's what this deal shows for the Bruins, is that they're still focused on the present. They're focused on winning right now. They're focused on trying to make a run in the playoffs this year. Now, there's a massive arms race going on in the Atlantic Division, so a playoff run is not going to be easy this year, because you have the Bruins making a big move like this, but you also have Florida making some huge moves. You also have Tampa Bay making some big moves. You've got Toronto adding Giordano, and I don't think Toronto's done either. I think Toronto's probably got another move up their sleeve as well. So it's a real arms race in the Atlantic Division, and you need to be making moves like this just to keep up. If you're not going to be making moves, then you might as well just give up on this year and say, okay, well, then we're going to back out and maybe start planning for that future, because you're not going to keep up with the Florida and Tampa Bays of the world if you're not making moves like this that the Bruins just did. So All in all, I love it. I think Hampus Lindholm makes the Bruins a noticeably better team on the blue line. I think this is what the Bruins needed, another top 4 D-man, a legitimate top 4 D-man. And I'm really excited that they got him to sign an extension as well, which is at a pretty reasonable cap hit. Because, you know, this deal with all that Boston gave up would not have been worth it if it was just going to be for the next couple months or until Boston gets knocked out of the playoffs. But the fact that they were able to sign him to an extension and that he's going to be a key piece of the Bruins blue line for the foreseeable future makes me feel a lot better about what Boston gave up in this. And all in all, I think the Bruins are a better hockey team because of it. And I like the trade overall. So that's what I've got on the Hampus Lindholm trade and extension with the Boston Bruins. Thank you guys so much for watching. And with that, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our merchandise store, membership, and donation links are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys soon.